you doing? Hope you're well. Please just bear with me. I am just sorting out the microphone, so it might not sound that clear yet, but just fiddling around to get the cable in the right place. So today's class is going to be mainly hip work. With it being a flow class, of course, there will be quite a bit of movement up and down off the floor, which can be great if you're feeling energized, or if you need a bit of energy, you can create that and create some warmth in the body. It'll be relatively easily accessible for most people. Just check that's working. Yeah, it'll be relatively easily accessible for most people. The postures are not overly complicated, so from that perspective, it's fairly straightforward to follow along. Although it'd be a little bit quicker than some of our other classes, so it feels faster due to the nature that we're up and down a lot. So I hope that suits you today, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to join in, even if it's not in this live version. If you don't have the space in your diary or within your family time and your family schedules. I know there's lots going on, and maybe children using laptops instead of yourself for your yoga practice. The other way to connect with us, and one of the reasons why we wanted to use YouTube, is that of course you can use the TV. Lots of smart TVs have the capability of loading up the YouTube app, and from that perspective you don't have to squint in a small screen, you don't have to be worrying about looking at your phone either, so you can get a bigger screen experience. Just to say, I mean, maybe it's obvious, but if you're just new to joining us, that's one of the reasons why we're on YouTube. Okay, so a few people arrived. I'm just going to pop some music on. And we're going to start off move over to the mat, and we're going to start off on our front this morning, taking child pose. If child pose feels useful for you, big toes together. Now with child pose, the tricky thing is quite often that the knees, and people's knees don't like being in this deep flexion. So as we sit the hips back a little bit, you might feel it's quite intense on your knees and your ankles as well, actually, if it's quite a big stretch in your ankles. So the thing to do there is to not feel that you have to go all the way back, and you can stay with the hips lifted, which might mean bringing the weight into the forearms. If you're happy with the hips moving back, go for it. Of course, settling back with your arms extended out, but nice and relaxed initially. So you can have the elbows bent if you need to, and allowing the head to gently settle either down to the floor, or maybe it's resting in that direction, but not quite touching. And so feeling an awareness that maybe you're feeling a little bit of activity already in the legs and the hips, the lower back, and of course down your ankles into your feet as well. This is quite a closed posture. There's a lot of feedback or awareness of breath when we're in this position. Feel the belly moving, the breath moving into the abdomen and chest, and feeling the expansion of the breath in the front side of the body pressing into your thighs, so you can feel the sensation of your breath clearly. So settling in here for a few more breaths, we'll stay here and just really focus on how you're breathing, what the breath feels like. Aim to breathe through the nose if that feels possible, if you're able to do that. One of the reasons we breathe through the nose is to slow the breath down. the airway being smaller than the mouth, of course, it gives you the chance to slow it down, kind of acts as a narrowing tube, concentrating the breath into a smaller space. But that, of course, in turn can make that feel like a challenge. It can be a difficult thing for some people to do. So try it a few times. You can dip in and out of breathing through the nose if your whole practice isn't ready for nasal breathing. Both the in-breath and the out-breath at the nose. Let's take 3 more. So count yourself 3 more breaths. No rush. Slowing it down. And then slowly releasing onto your hands and knees. So bringing yourself up into a tabletop position. You want to have some space behind. So position yourself in your mat so that you've got space to kick the leg out behind, and also at the sides of your mat. We're not going to go really, really wide, but enough space so that you're not going to clobber anything or yourself. Tabletop position, keeping it really simple. Distribute the weight even between the 2 sides. Try to keep your arms straight and your shoulders stacked over your wrists. And then, if you can, your hips over your knees as well. And we're going to move into a sort of cow posture. So lift the chest, lift the chin, and then lift and extend the right leg. So a little arch in the lower back. You can point the toes or push the heel back, but try to get the legs straight. So inhale here. Exhale and lower down. Same side. And again, inhale. Exhale as you lower. Inhale. Lifting higher, maybe. Exhale and lower. Do the second side, so 3 times. Inhale, and just seeing how it feels to begin to work into the left hip and glute. Inhale. So keep the gaze and the chest forward and extend through the leg. Maybe on the 3rd time going a little bit higher, but just to see what's happening in the legs and begin to power up. And then exhale. Now we're going to go back to the first side, and it's the same start. So inhale, lift the right leg, chest lifted. But this, as you exhale, this time right knee towards the right elbow from the outside. So you've gone to the outside towards the right elbow. Inhale without touching down, lift the right leg again. Exhale, knee towards the elbow. You can touch if you are able to. Inhale, extend, lift the chest again. Last time, exhale and draw the knee out wide and forward. Inhale, extend, exhale, knee down. Same on the second side. So inhale, left leg extends. Exhale, knee up high and out to the side on the left. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, we'll finish with the inhale, extend the leg, and then lowering the knee down to the floor. Okay, we're going to stay. Maybe scoot back slightly so you've got some space at the front for your hands. But what we're going to do is we're going to stay on the knees, crossing the right knee over behind actually the left knee. Doesn't matter too much which way you've gone. We're going to do both sides, but you're crossing the knees. Now we're not going to sit the hips back. we sometimes do that, we're going to stay with the hips over the knees. And instead, we're going to reach the hands and arms forward. So you're trying to fold at your hips as much as possible. And your head might come down. Your spine might curve. It might arch. That's fine. Try to get a good, deep fold or flexion at your hips. So basically, your abdomen is moving close to your thighs. Maybe feeling a little bit of outer hip work here. The head doesn't have to touch the floor. It's really just moving into your body and how it feels for you to do this. And then we'll begin to release. So bring the hands back under your shoulders and then uncross the legs. Let's recross with the left leg behind the right leg. Again, keep your hips stacked over your knees and flex, deep flexion at your hips here. Folding, basically folding forward and down. So remember, the hands have reached forward in order to allow the upper body to get closer to the floor. And then we'll release by bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, uncross the legs. From a tabletop position, we'll tuck the toes. Press into the hands, hover the knees, send the hips high. So again, think deep fold, deep flexion in your hips as you move to downward dog. You can keep your knees bent. You might also want to keep your knees bent, seeing as this is the first downward dog here. You might progressively get them straighter, but it's not the aim. We're not looking to do that. What we're trying to do is flex at the hips, extend the spine. So if you notice that when you try and get the heels down, because that's what we want to do maybe, your lower back might round, but actually you're trying to keep the hips fully flexed. Let's take 2 more breaths. Look forward. We'll walk gently towards the top of the mat or towards the space between the hands. Do your best to get yourself there and have your feet hip width apart. Breathe in, lift, lengthen, so gaze forward, hips back of the pelvis widening here. So let's stay here for 2 more breaths. So it's pressing down into the floor with your feet, and as if you could, without moving actually, but as if you could widen the space between the feet, or as if you could pull and split the mat as you pull the feet apart. And folding back down, so releasing to a deeper folded position. You can take the hands to the legs or floor or feet. And then we're going to rise to stand all the way up. So we're going to eventually rise all the way. You can reach the arms up wide or forward, and we'll stand tall with the hands at the chest. Have a little bit of space out front from the top of your mat, mainly to fold, so you're not going to bang your head on anything. And then when we come to another posture a little bit later, we can maybe reaching the hands slightly further forward of the mat as well. Okay, so stand tall, shoulders back, lift up through the top of the head, crown of the head reaching skyward, and the legs firm. And again, we're going to reach forward or wide, depending on your space. Reach overhead, inhale. Exhale the hands to the chest and then fold. So we're going to fold at the hips and reach down to the floor. So you might need to bend the knees to do that. We're going to lunge the right knee back down onto the mat behind. So a long lunge position. Press down through the front foot, the back foot, and now rise to a low lunge, extending up through the arms. Look up through past the fingers. Inhale. Exhale as you bring the hands to the floor. Now, a little bit trickier posture. You're going to step the back foot slightly in. Keep the back heel lifted. Keep back leg straight. Notice how I've shifted to my fingertips to make this a little bit easier to reach the floor. And pyramid pose, see if you can get your left leg straighter. Now, because you are using your hands on the floor to help you balance here, you might find it's impossible to straighten the leg. And of course, we're just warming up here still. So just see how it feels. Don't force the knee back, but feel that extension on the back of the left leg. Squeeze the inner thighs together. So that's like drawing your right hip forward. Back leg straight too. Back leg can stay straight. Probably a lot easier than the front leg. And we're going to just take this slight rotation. It's not a big movement here. So you're going to keep your right hand down and then begin to turn, and you can bring your left hand to your hip or your leg. Turn towards the left leg with the upper body. So full flexion at your hips, and it's like you could possibly rotate round. Okay, it's a sort of a hybrid posture, but I want you to feel into the outer, maybe the outer left hip. Okay, so a little bit of an unusual movement coming up. We're going to release, bend the legs to maneuver the feet. Turn both feet, toes towards the right side of your mat. So you're parallel aligning the feet. Inhale, lift the chest. Long spine, gaze forward. And then as you exhale, you're reaching either your hands to the legs. You can keep the hands on the floor if it's more stable. Or you can now slide the hands lower. So choose where you can reach to. It makes sense for your body. And folding in to the space between the legs. Upper body, but also mainly lower body. Abdomen to the space between the thighs. Full flexion at the hips. Doesn't matter how close the head is to the floor. It doesn't have to be down. Exhale, release the hands just under the shoulders. Inhale. And now we're going to turn to the right leg. So you're going to turn around what is now the back of your mat, I guess. So yes, you are facing the other way. Back heel lifts, front knee bends, stabilize, high lunge position or crescent lunge, crescent moon. Lifting the arms. Steady breaths. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hands down. Step the left foot forward. Lift the head, gaze forward, lift the chest. Exhale and fold back in to the legs. As you rise, reach up with the arms wide or forward. You've got space reaching all the way up. And then exhale slowly, hands to chest. And then we're going to fold all the way back down again. So we're going to fold down, reach down. Inhale halfway. Exhale, step the left knee back behind. So low lunge, long stance, first posture in this little flow here. Stabilize as you rise. Inhale, reach with the arms, gaze up through past the fingers. Exhale, the hands are going to come down, maybe fingertips. Okay, so bring the back foot in slightly, back heel lifted, leg extended. Maybe straighten out the right leg, might go straight, but working with sensation more than the aesthetic. So you're folding over your right leg for a few breaths. Making this sensation to the outer right hip a little bit stronger, keeping the left hand down and your right hand towards the hip or pelvis, but turning. It doesn't matter how far you're actually turning the upper body. And sometimes we do that as a focus for this kind of posture. I want you to feel it in the outer hip. So squeeze the inner thighs together, bring your left hip forward as much as you can. Right hip is moving back. Pulling back into that right hip joint. Feeling a little bit warmer in the legs. Releasing. So bend your right knee, and then we're going to scoot the hands round. Again, turn to what is now your left side of your mat, but parallel the feet in exactly the same way. You're actually facing the same direction as before. Inhale, lift the chest. And again, folding, same posture. But maybe reaching a little bit lower. So if you've got the scope, you might want to slide the hands down towards the heels or not. You maybe nowhere near that. That's pretty intense for lots of people here. The floor is a long way away. Don't expect the head to come down. One more breath. Exhale, releasing. Hands in front. Spin the feet so your left toes all the way around. Back toes lifted, heel lifted, apologies, but the right toes facing forward. Left knee bent. Inhale, high lunge or crescent moon. Exhale the hands over the front foot, step the right foot forward, feet hip width. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale and fold. As you rise, reach up with the arms. And then exhale the hands to the chest. Keep the feet hip width apart. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. And this time, as you exhale, bend the knees in chair pose. So keeping the knees the width of the feet, so the width of your hips. Chest lifted, arms extended, the palms facing each other. You don't have to touch the hands, but you can do. Inhale, rise. Hands to heart. Exhale and fold forward. We're going to bring the hands down towards the floor. Halfway inhale, gaze forward. And then stepping back into a high plank position. Inhale at the top. And exhale as you wish to lower. You can hover if you know chaturanga, but otherwise bringing the legs to the floor. Inhale, half forward. Shoulders back. Exhale, lower. And press back to downward dog. Inhale, lift the right leg high. Extend the leg out behind. Look forward, exhale, step the foot between the hands. Okay, we're going to keep the back leg extended and we're going to keep the heel lifted. But we're going to stay in a low lunge. Otherwise, this is not really low, is it? I guess it's a high lunge because the knee's off the floor. But you want to keep the hips low, but without collapsing the back leg down. So you want to feel like your back thigh is staying engaged, it's staying lifted to help keep your right thigh about parallel to the floor. We're going to reach the hands over to the left, so maybe off the mat. Sometimes called a lunge dog position. You're pressing your hands to the floor. You can use the fingertips if you find it's easier. But remember, don't collapse the left leg. Keep the left thigh lifting. Deep flexion in the hips. And one more breath here. Keep the back thigh lifted. And then exhale to bring your left hand to the inside of your right foot, about under the shoulder. Wrist underneath the shoulder, left shoulder here. I'm going to turn slightly to the right. So it's like you're turning your chest towards your right thigh. And then reach your right arm up and over So it's almost like, well, it's twisting, but then extension side stretch through the right side. Again, back thigh lifted. Exhale the hand down to the floor. Let's step back. A high plank position, slowly lowering. Inhale as you come up. Exhale to downward dog. Left leg in, extend, inhale. Exhale, left foot forward. Going to keep the back heel lifted and begin to walk the hands to the right side. Back thigh is firm. The back thigh stays lifting, not collapsing. Reaching the hands, extend the arms. Full flexion, mainly in your left hip, I guess, for the flexion, but your right thigh is working active at the same time. So I don't know if I said this, it's called a lunge dog. Hybrid between a lunge position and a downward dog, of course. One more breath here. Back leg is strong, firm and lifted. And then releasing to bring the right hand, wrist underneath your right shoulder. Turn to your left, a little bit if you can. And then sweep the left arm up and across. Again, keep your back leg firm, the thigh lifted. One more breath here. Exhale, hands down. Plank position. And guide yourself. Down, hover. Maybe coming into upward dog. Exhale to downward dog. Inhale, lift the right leg high. Exhale, step the foot forward and through. Spin the back heel down. So this time, left toes to the left side of the mat, but keep your right foot facing forward. Bent into your right knee. However, we're going to turn the upper body towards the long edge of the mat. So I don't know how clear that is on the screen here. Right knee still bent, but the back leg is firm and straight. Back toes facing the long edge of the mat. So the back foot flat to the floor as much as you can achieve. Keep your left hand wrist under your shoulder and bring your right hand onto your right thigh. Now you're going to push your right hand into the thigh to ease. Ease is not the right word, but to stretch into the right hip, groin and thigh. So you're pushing the knee wide and back. Back leg is straight. And the chest slightly lifted. So you can choose how deep this goes. You can also lower down onto your left forearm, left elbow under shoulder. Not essential here. Let's release. Bring the hands over the right foot. And then slide back. We'll go straight to downward dog this time. You're going to set up the second side. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, left foot forward. Spin the back heel. Back leg straight. Left knee bent, of course. Turning the upper body so that your shoulders, wrists are under your shoulders. Left leg bent. Left hand on the left thigh or knee. And your right hand is on the floor. So pressing into the left leg. Widen around the left inner thigh, leg, groin, hip. Chest slightly lifted, but the hips staying fairly low, but the back leg firm. Again, you can lower down. It's a long way down there. It's not essential for the stretch to go with the elbow down, but some people might find it's useful to get a slightly deeper and flexion in the hips. And then release to bring the hands back over the left leg. And again, we'll go straight to downward dog. Slow down the breath. Feel like taking a pause to recorrect the breath, to feel the breath, take control. Inhale, lift the right leg high, look forward, exhale, step the right foot between the hands, and again, spin the back heel down to the mat. So we're going to rise up, find your balance, facing the long edge of your mat for this posture. Okay, so we'll have the arms wide, inhale, straighten the right leg, and reach over the right leg. So extension through the right leg for triangle, exhale to a side plane. This right hand down the leg, you might come to the floor, but don't come to the floor and compromise the shape. You want to keep spinning open the chest, turning the left shoulder over the right shoulder, and the legs as firm as you can. Side facing posture. So the back foot, of course, perpendicular to the front foot. And when you move into half moon pose, the next standing balance posture, you want to create the same alignment. So your back toes will basically be along the horizon with your left hip stacking your right hip. Now, you might want to watch before you join in. You're going to maybe even step the left foot in a little bit. Standing on the right foot, right hand forward of your right foot, probably off your mat. You can have the palm flat to the floor as well. Okay, I'm just going to move my right foot back slightly instead. Okay, find your balance. Turn to face the long edge of the mat with your hips and your chest. So roll the left shoulder back. And for the purpose of this practice today, lift the left leg as high as you can, high as you can. Point the toes or flex the heel, flex the ankle. Notice how that might feel different to get the left leg higher than what you might normally practice. And then step wide and back with that left leg. Okay, bring the hands to the floor. Let's vinyasa this time. So bringing the wrists under the shoulders and guide yourself down. Inhale. Exhale. Downward dog. Second side, lift and left, extend the left leg high. Exhale, left foot forward. Spin the back heel, again facing the long edge of the mat, but of course the opposite way. Inhale, straighten the left leg, reach over the left leg for triangle, reach across, and then to a side position. So how low the left hand is not really relevant. Doesn't matter. As long as you keep your chest open, firm in the legs. So if it's useful, you can bring the back foot in. In my case, I'm bringing the front foot back because I might bang my head against the wall here. So you're going to bring your left hand forward. Find some time and space to move into half moon posture. So slow things down. Take extra breaths in each portion of the entry into the posture. So facing or opening to the side with the chest and hips. So your right hip stacks your left. And then if you're able to, power up through that right leg. Lift the right leg higher, higher. Make the leg firm. Make the leg as straight as you can. So active right down to your toes. This is a good time to pause the video if you needed to practice that a little bit longer. Just about to say, inhale. Exhale, step the right foot behind. Press into the hands, downward dog. We'll take a few breaths for downward dog this time. Okay, inhale with the right leg high, and then step the right foot forward between the hands. Okay. We're going to turn, this is a little bit more unusual. We're going to turn both feet to the right-hand side of your mat. Okay, so basically you're flat, or almost flat onto the right sole of the right foot, but probably on the outer edge of the left foot, and you want to make the left leg super straight. Now, if this is impossible to move into, then you can slide your right foot down to the level of your hips, the pelvis. You can have the foot higher, which makes the stretch more intense. Left wrist underneath the left shoulder or slightly forward. And then turn to the right, reach up through the right arm. Inhale. Exhale, but keeping the back leg straight, lower the hips towards the floor, but we're not sitting down, okay? So we're active through the legs, but lowering at the same time. So it's not a collapse lowering, it's a chosen active levitation, if you like. The left hip just floating off the floor. Press down through your right foot. And exhale, release the hands to the floor. Step back to downward dog. One more breath here. Inhale, lift the left leg high. Exhale, step forward. Okay, so we're going to spin both feet towards the long edge of the mat, which means outer edge of the back foot. Maybe bringing that left foot further down to the level of the pelvis. Makes it a little bit easier to access. Right wrist just forward of your right shoulder. Inhale, lift up through the left arm, back leg firm and straight. So the back hip is lifting. And then when we do lower, it's not a collapse lowering. It's a choice. So the feet pressing firm, both legs, both feet. And the hips moving in the direction of the floor. One more breath. Exhale, release the hand down. And step back slowly to downward dog. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step the right foot forward. We've got another posture working in the same sort of area of the hip, thigh, legs. Lower the left knee down this time. You want to make sure the back knee is comfortable, and you want a long enough lunge, which means that in theory, it's not the top of the kneecap on the floor, but it's more like the base of your thigh. So it's like as if you could get the knee down just slightly above the knee. I know that's really tricky if you're tight in your legs, so do your best here, but you can always pad up the knee if you need to. Okay, we're going to have the left hand down on the floor, and we're going to walk the right foot to the right side of the mat. Actually, also walk the left hand to the side of the mat. So you've got the right foot wide and the left hand over to the left side. Right hand on the right knee or leg, and turn to that right leg. Turn towards the bent leg, the front leg. Try and spin the chest, but lower the hips. Lower the hips down. A little bit more passive around that hip action here. Now you can stay here. This is nice. This can be a good deep stretch without too much effort now. Or you could connect. So this is one of the reasons I say try not to have the kneecap down, is because when we get to this posture, it can be quite uncomfortable on the knee joint. So makes sense in the knee, choose what feels good, and you don't have to actually hold the foot, right? If you can't hold the foot, don't worry. Again, hips low, and if you're able to, whichever option you've chosen, try and spin the chest towards the sky. Turn the chest to the sky. And then we'll gently release. So take your time to move. These are big postures here. It gradually snuck up on us as we got a little bit warmer. Take your time to move to downward dog. Few more breaths. Second side, left leg in, extend, inhale. Exhale, step the foot forward and through. Lower the back knee again. Try to get a long lunge. And the long lunge position helps you to get more of the base of the thigh on the floor than the kneecap itself. Walk the left foot to the outside of the mat. Walk your right hand to the right hand side of your mat. Stay low in the hips. Left hand onto the front leg, turning the chest towards the left, turning around, but staying low in the hips. Just because there's a second option doesn't mean the first option isn't big enough or isn't enough. And certainly you might be feeling this quite intensely around the legs. This is a nice place to be without forcing or contorting the body into the next option. Of course, you can take it if you want to, seeing as I put it out there. It's just something to play around with. Whichever position, turning the chest to the left. And then slowly release. And again, moving as slowly as you need. Take the time to move to downward dog. And so beginning to step slightly forward, crossing the legs or shins, ankles, and then bend your knees. We're going to sit down. We're going to sit behind the feet and then bring the legs forward. Scoot the hips to the middle of your mat. Allow the soles of the feet to come together. The knees move wide and then lay down. As you lay down, get comfortable around your head, neck and shoulders, the chest and the back of your pelvis. The knees don't have to be wide, but they might want to be wide. Like they might go wide if your anatomy allows. That's okay. Let's bring one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. See if you can get comfortable with your arms so that the elbows rest down and it's not too much effort in your arms, and you can be still here. And again, this is passive. Okay, so we're not forcing the knees open. We're not trying to make something happen. We're just allowing the body to rest, actually. And see if you can feel the progressive nature of your breath. Gradually slowing down initially, actually. And then once you've begun to feel the slowing effect, see if you can, without too much manipulation. So I'm saying this knowing that actually it's not a big effort that I'd like you to put into your breathing, but actually instead, see if you can allow the breath to move to the lower hand first. So as if you could feel the breath in the lower hand rising down in the belly, and then you might feel the breath rising into the upper hand afterwards. So don't force that mechanism, but see if it happens naturally. So feeling the pattern of the breath the pattern of the breath in the body, taking your time to breathe. And if it's not that order and it doesn't feel like I've just described, that's okay. Notice what you find. Doesn't mean you're breathing wrong, right? The body knows how to breathe on its own. Mainly feeling that you can slow down, be still, and observe. Okay, let's rest the hips now. So if it's useful, bring your hands to the outer legs to draw the legs inwards. So letting the feet come flat to the floor and walk the feet wide as your mat. So now allowing the knees to drop inwards, so the feet wide, knees together, and bring the hands to rest at the groin or the crease of where your leg meets your pelvis. Again, just a relaxed position for your arms and shoulders. And notice any sensations circulating around the pelvis, the hip, maybe the groin actually from that last posture. Also noticing your breath down in the belly. So nicely settling in through the subtler practice of awareness after the activity of the flowing dynamic class. And so you might be ready to move the legs and extend them out, or you might want to keep the legs how they are. They might feel good, right? So if they feel good, feel free to stay with the knees together, but position the arms slightly differently. And my suggestion is to take the palms to the sky. So externally rotate the arms at the shoulder heads, let the shoulder blades flatten towards the floor, but then rest the chest down. Rest through the back of the head, release the neck, and legs bent or straightened out. If you've got the legs extended, then have the feet apart. Let the toes roll outwards. Let the thighs roll outwards, settling in to relax the buttocks, the thighs, right down into the heels. If you haven't already, begin to close the eyes. Relax. In fact, take a scan, a relaxing scan from the head, top of the head, down the face, down the upper body, down to the fingertips. Just for the next few seconds, keep scanning down to pelvis, legs, and toes. So scan through initially and check for comfort, check for any distractions, check for a sense of balance. Or if you're not balanced, then this is the time to adjust. Notice how you've placed the body as you scan down. Pay attention to that shape or that form, to the way that you've rested. And now we'll pay a little bit more attention to the specific body parts now that you've finished scanning. Rest the face. If you haven't already, like I say, close the eyes, relax the facial muscles across the forehead, around the eye sockets, sides of the face and cheeks, the mouth. Perhaps gently closing. So perhaps just resting the breath to breathe through the nose only again. And so the mouth can close and the lips can relax, close, but there might be a space between the teeth, between the upper jaw, lower jaw, and allowing the tongue to rest. Let the jaw relax, soft at the neck and throat. And then check the shoulders are heavy, shoulders resting towards the mat. Biceps relaxed, forearms relaxed, wrists, hands, fingers, the palms of the hands soft. Relaxing down the length of the body, the lower ribs, the abdomen, the lower back. Feel the weight of the pelvis rest on the mat. Relaxing the hips and thighs, the knees, and the lower legs. Relaxing at the ankles, the foot, both feet, the toes all soft, and the soles of the feet soft. From head to toe, and everything in between. Relaxed. The whole body soft and heavy, the whole body relaxed. The whole body still and peaceful. The whole body relaxed. You are very welcome to continue relaxation for as long as you need. I'm not going to formally close the class today. I'd like you to take what you need, take the rest. Thank you for your practice. Namaste.